Awaken Your Awareness, How to Sense Presence and Energy, by David Rousseau. What if the most important signals in your life have been the quietest ones, and you've been sensing them all along without realizing it? Introduction. Life often presents moments that are hard to explain, yet almost everyone has felt them. You might enter a room and immediately sense that something is off, even though nothing overt has happened. Or you meet someone for the first time and feel an instant sense of ease, as if their mere presence conveys something unspoken. These fleeting impressions reveal a natural human ability we frequently overlook: the capacity to sense presence and energy. This audiobook series, Awaken Your Awareness, How to Sense Presence and Energy, is designed to guide you in recognizing and cultivating this innate skill. This isn't about learning mystical powers. It's about reconnecting with an ability you already possess: the awareness of subtle cues that surround you. Every day, your mind absorbs countless signals from the environment: tone of voice, body language, emotional undercurrents, and atmosphere, all processed faster than conscious thought can register. By consciously tuning into these signals, you can enhance how you navigate social situations, your environment, and even personal decision-making. Developing sensitivity to presence improves communication, situational awareness, and self-understanding. You begin to notice when a space feels peaceful or tense, when a conversation holds hidden emotions, or when your intuition nudges you toward or away from a choice. Yet, in modern life, many of us move through our days distracted. Tasks, deadlines, and screens pull our attention in all directions, dulling our perception of subtle shifts in energy. This series is about restoring that capacity. I recall one vivid experience years ago in a small cafe. The moment I walked in, the energy felt heavy. Voices were hushed, staff seemed tense, and the usual lively ambience was absent. Minutes later, I learned someone had just received upsetting news nearby. Nothing visible had signaled this when I entered, but the emotional atmosphere had already shifted. This incident underscored that we are always perceiving more than we consciously realize. The encouraging part is that this awareness can be strengthened, just like a muscle. With practice, reflection, and curiosity, you can become more attuned to the signals that are constantly present. Throughout this series, we'll explore 10 key areas to build this skill gradually. First, we'll define presence and explain why it often goes unnoticed. Then, we'll examine historical and cultural perspectives on awareness. We'll dive into the science of sensing presence, looking at neuroscience, psychology, intuition, and perception. You'll learn how different environments shape your awareness. Emotional intelligence will be explored, showing how emotions, yours and others, affect perception. Practical exercises will guide you in noticing subtle cues in daily life. From walks in nature to observing interactions, we'll tackle common misconceptions about intuition and awareness, including overinterpretation and confusion with imagination. You'll see how heightened awareness can improve relationships and communication. Finally, we'll discuss ways to integrate these practices into your life so they become natural habits. The goal is simple: to help you move through the world with sharper perception, deeper focus, and a stronger connection to the subtle signals around you. Awareness is not something you acquire, it is something you awaken. Once you begin noticing it, you'll realize that presence and energy were there all along, quietly waiting for your attention. Chapter 1. What is presence? Before you can sense presence and energy, it's important to understand what these terms truly mean. While often discussed in spiritual contexts, they are not abstract ideas reserved for philosophers or meditation experts. Presence and energy are experiences that shape our daily lives. Presence, at its core, is the state of being fully aware in the moment. It's the quality of paying complete attention to what is happening inside and around you. A person who is present is engaged, attentive, and fully immersed in the current experience, rather than distracted by past memories or future worries. Consider the difference between talking with someone who keeps checking their phone and someone who focuses entirely on you. The second person creates a palpable sense of connection that is presence in action. Energy refers to the subtle, emotional and psychological cues that people and spaces emit. Though invisible, we perceive it through tone, body language, facial expressions, and atmosphere. For instance, imagine entering two rooms. In the first, people are relaxed, smiling, and speaking freely. You immediately feel welcome, even without any direct interaction. In the second, conversations are hushed, eye contact is avoided, and the space feels tense. No one says anything directly, yet the difference is unmistakable. What you're noticing is the emotional energy of the environment. Humans are naturally equipped to detect such signals. Our brains continuously scan for patterns, changes, and social cues, a skill vital for survival in ancestral environments. Even today, these perceptions occur almost automatically. We read expressions in a fraction of a second, sense shifts in tone, and notice changes in posture or mood. Despite this, many people overlook these cues. Modern distractions, phones, notifications, deadlines, and constant information dilute attention. We also tend to value only what is measurable or logically explained. Feelings that cannot be clearly defined are often ignored. Yet intuition often communicates in subtle ways, as comfort, curiosity, or unease. Learning to sense presence begins with recognizing these signals rather than dismissing them, and with slowing down. By pausing and observing your surroundings, you notice details that have always been present: the mood of a room, the rhythm of a conversation, the subtle physical responses of your own body. Presence is also internal. Your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations create an inner atmosphere. Calm and focused attention clarifies perception, while anxiety or distraction narrows awareness. Developing presence is therefore about observing both the external and internal worlds. With consistent practice, sensing the flow of interactions, environments, and emotions becomes easier. Presence is not something to manufacture, you already possess it. The key is to simply notice it. Chapter 2: History and Philosophy of Awareness. Long before modern psychology or neuroscience began studying human perception, cultures around the world were already exploring the idea of awareness. The ability to sense presence within ourselves, within others, and within our environment has been recognized for thousands of years. Although different traditions use different words to describe it, many of them pointed to the same fundamental insight. Humans possess a deeper layer of perception that goes beyond ordinary thinking. In many Eastern traditions, awareness is closely connected to mindfulness and meditation. Ancient meditation practices encourage people to observe their breath, their thoughts, and their surroundings without judgment. The purpose was not to escape reality, but to experience it more clearly. By becoming still and attentive, practitioners discovered something important. Beneath the constant movement of thoughts and emotions, there exists a quiet awareness that is always present. When people learn to rest in that awareness, their perception becomes sharper and more balanced. In other traditions, awareness was described through the concept of life energy. Different cultures use different names for it, but they often referred to the same idea: an invisible force that flows through living beings and environments, whether spoken of as a spiritual energy or simply as the atmosphere of a place. Many believed that humans could learn to sense and respond to these subtle currents. Western philosophy also explored similar ideas, though often in different language. Philosophers throughout history questioned how humans perceive reality. They asked, how do we know what we know? What allows us to sense meaning beyond words? These questions eventually influenced modern psychology, which began to study attention, intuition, and emotional perception in more systematic ways. Researchers discovered that humans constantly process enormous amounts of information outside of conscious awareness. Our minds pick up micro-expressions in faces, subtle shifts in voice tone, and changes in body posture within fractions of a second. This research supports something ancient traditions already understood. Perception operates on more than one level. There is the analytical mind, the part of us that thinks, reasons, and interprets information step by step. But there is also a deeper perceptual system that works quietly in the background. This system gathers emotional and environmental cues long before we consciously recognize them. What many spiritual traditions call intuition may simply be the mind's ability to integrate these signals quickly and present them as a feeling or inner knowing. Throughout history, the development of awareness has often been seen as a path of personal growth. Teachers and philosophers encourage people to cultivate attention, not only for spiritual insight, but also for practical wisdom in daily life. A person who is aware tends to notice things others miss, the subtle emotions in a conversation, the shifting mood of a group, or the quiet signals from their own body and mind. This awareness creates clarity. Instead of reacting automatically, a more aware person responds thoughtfully. Instead of being overwhelmed by emotions, they recognize them as they arise. Instead of rushing through life, they experience moments more fully. Despite the differences between cultures and traditions, the central message has remained remarkably consistent. Awareness is not something external that we must acquire. It is something internal that we learn to uncover. It is like adjusting the focus of a lens. When the lens is blurred by distraction, stress, or constant mental noise, our perception becomes limited. But when the lens becomes clear through attention and observation, the world appears more vivid and meaningful. Understanding the history and philosophy of awareness reminds us that this journey is not new. Humans have been exploring it for centuries. Each generation simply describes it in its own language. In the next chapter, we will look at how modern science helps explain these experiences, how the brain processes subtle signals, and why awareness can become stronger with practice. But for now, it is enough to recognize one simple truth. Across time, culture, and philosophy, awareness has always been seen as one of the most powerful tools we possess. Chapter 3. The Science Behind Sensing Presence. In the previous chapters, we explored how awareness has been understood through history, philosophy, and spiritual traditions. Many cultures recognize that humans have a subtle ability to sense the atmosphere of a place, the emotions of others, and the quiet signals within themselves. But what does modern science say about this experience? Interestingly, neuroscience and psychology now confirm that much of what we call intuition or sensing presence has a strong biological foundation. Our brains are designed to constantly gather and interpret information from the world around us, far more information than our conscious mind can process at once. At any given moment, your senses are absorbing thousands of small signals, facial expressions, body movements, voice tones, posture, breathing patterns, lighting changes, sounds in the background, and even the distance between people in a room. Your conscious mind may only notice a few of these details, but your brain is quietly analyzing all of them. One reason for this ability lies in how the brain evolved. Early humans needed to detect subtle signs of safety or danger in their environment. A slight movement in tall grass, a sudden silence among birds, or tension in another person's body language could signal something important. Those who noticed these signals quickly were more likely to survive. Because of this evolutionary pressure, the human brain developed systems that specialize in pattern recognition and emotional detection. For example, researchers have discovered that humans can recognize emotional expressions in less than a second, even before we consciously identify what someone is feeling. Parts of the brain are already responding to those signals. This is why you may feel uneasy around someone before you can explain why, or comfortable with someone even if you just met them. Another important part of this process is attention. Attention acts like a spotlight for the mind. Wherever attention goes, awareness follows. When your attention is scattered jumping between notifications, thoughts, and distractions, you miss many of the signals that your brain is capable of detecting. However, when attention becomes focused and calm, your perception sharpens. You begin noticing details that were previously invisible to you. Shifts in tone, changes in mood, subtle movements in the environment. This is one reason practices like mindfulness and meditation have gained so much attention in modern research. Studies show that people who regularly practice focused awareness tend to improve their ability to notice subtle, emotional and environmental cues. Their brains literally become better at observing. Another fascinating aspect of sensing presence involves what psychologists call social intuition. Humans are highly social beings, and our brains are deeply tuned to the people around us. We unconsciously mirror expressions, emotions, and body language in order to understand others more quickly. If someone near you is anxious, your body may subtly respond to that anxiety. If someone is calm and grounded, you may feel more relaxed in their presence. This process often happens automatically, without conscious effort. In many ways, what we call energy in everyday conversation may simply be the combination of emotional signals, environmental cues, and subconscious perception working together. When you say a room feels tense, your brain has likely already noticed dozens of small signals: quiet voices, rigid posture, lack of eye contact, or changes in breathing patterns among the people present. Your conscious mind may summarize all of that information into a simple feeling: something feels off. Understanding the science behind these experiences does not make them less meaningful. In fact, it can make them even more powerful. It shows that awareness is not just a philosophical idea. It is a natural human capability supported by the design of our brains. The more we train our attention, the more clearly these signals appear. Awareness becomes less mysterious and more practical. In the next chapter, we will explore intuition more deeply, the inner sense that often guides us before logic has time to explain what we are feeling, and you will begin learning simple ways to recognize and trust those signals in your everyday life. Chapter 4: Intuition, Trusting Your Inner Senses. There are moments in life when you simply know something, even though you cannot explain how you know it. Perhaps you have met someone for the first time and felt an immediate sense of trust, or the opposite, a quiet feeling of caution. Maybe you have made a decision that seemed right in your gut before your mind could list the reasons. Or perhaps you have sensed that something in a situation was about to change moments before it did. These experiences are often described as intuition. For many people, intuition feels mysterious. It can seem almost magical, as if the mind is receiving information from somewhere beyond logic. But, as we explored in the previous chapter, intuition is often the mind's way of summarizing countless subtle signals that we are already sensing. Your brain is constantly gathering information from your environment, tone of voice, body language, emotional expressions, and patterns you have learned throughout your life. When these signals combine, your mind may produce a quiet inner message, a feeling, a thought, or a gentle sense of direction. That message is intuition. The challenge is that intuition usually speaks softly. It rarely shouts for attention. Instead, it appears as a subtle nudge, an inner sense of curiosity, comfort, caution, or clarity. In a busy and distracted world, it is easy to miss that voice. Many people have learned to rely almost entirely on analysis and external information when making decisions. While logical thinking is important, intuition provides another layer of guidance that logic alone cannot offer. It integrates experience, perception, and emotion in ways that the conscious mind may not fully understand. Think of intuition as a quiet advisor rather than a command. It does not force decisions. Instead, it offers signals that you can choose to notice and explore. One of the first steps in strengthening intuition is learning to pause. When you slow down and create moments of stillness, you give your inner awareness space to surface. Without constant mental noise, those subtle impressions become easier to recognize. You may notice a feeling in your body when something feels right or wrong. Some people experience intuition as a sense of lightness or calm when they are moving in the right direction. Others feel tension or discomfort when something does not align with them. These signals are not always dramatic. Often they are very small. A simple exercise can help you begin noticing them. The next time you face a small decision, what route to take home, where to sit in a room, or which option feels more appealing, pause for a moment. Before analyzing the decision, ask yourself a simple question: what does my first instinct say? Notice the immediate response that appears, then observe how it feels in your body and mind. You are not trying to force an answer. You are simply learning to listen. Over time, this practice helps you recognize the difference between intuition and other mental voices. Fear often feels urgent and loud. Overthinking tends to create endless possibilities and doubts. Intuition, however, is usually simple and calm. It often arrives as a clear impression rather than a complicated argument. Another way to strengthen intuition is by reflecting on past experiences. Think about times when you sensed something before it became obvious. Perhaps you felt a strong pull toward an opportunity that later proved meaningful. Or you sense tension in a situation that eventually became clear. Looking back on these moments helps you recognize that intuition has likely been present throughout your life. Trusting it does not mean abandoning logic or reason. Instead, it means allowing intuition and analysis to work together. Logic helps evaluate options and consequences, while intuition provides insight into subtle patterns and emotional realities. When these two forms of understanding cooperate, decision-making becomes more balanced and grounded. In the next chapter, we will expand our awareness beyond intuition and explore the influence of our surroundings. You will discover how the environments we move through each day, rooms, buildings, nature, and crowds, shape the way we perceive presence and energy. Because awareness is not only about what happens inside us, it is also about learning to feel the atmosphere of the world around us. Chapter 5: Environmental Awareness. Most people think of awareness as something that happens inside the mind, our thoughts, our intuition, our emotions. But awareness also extends outward into the environments we move through every day. Every space carries a certain atmosphere. You may have noticed how different places affect you in different ways. A quiet library often encourages calm and focus. A crowded subway can feel rushed and tense. A walk through nature may bring a sense of peace that is difficult to explain. These experiences are not imagined. Our minds and bodies are constantly responding to the environments around us. Environmental awareness is the practice of noticing how spaces influence your thoughts, emotions, and energy. It is about becoming sensitive to the subtle qualities of a place, the mood of a room, the rhythm of a crowd, or the quiet presence of nature. When you begin paying attention, you realize that environments communicate in many ways. Light, sound, movement, color, and even the arrangement of objects affect how we feel. Bright lighting and loud noise can stimulate the mind and body, while soft lighting and quiet surroundings often promote relaxation. Open spaces may create a sense of freedom, while cramped environments may lead to tension or restlessness. Beyond these physical elements, there is also the emotional atmosphere created by the people within a space. Imagine entering a room where people are laughing and speaking freely. Even if you do not know anyone there, the atmosphere may feel welcoming. Now imagine walking into a room where people are silent, avoiding eye contact and speaking cautiously without anyone saying a word to you. You can often sense that something is different. This is environmental awareness in action. Your mind is picking up subtle signals from the surroundings and forming an impression of the space. These impressions can influence how you behave, how you communicate, and even how clearly you think. Becoming aware of this process can change how you move through the world. Instead of unconsciously absorbing the atmosphere of every environment, you begin observing it. You notice how certain spaces support your focus and creativity, while others drain your energy or create stress. For example, many people find that spending time in natural environments helps restore their mental clarity. The steady rhythm of wind, water, and natural sounds often calms the nervous system. Without constant noise and stimulation, the mind has room to settle. This is one reason why a simple walk outdoors can sometimes shift your perspective on a problem you were struggling with earlier in the day. Environmental awareness also includes observing the smaller details of a space. The way a room is arranged, the objects placed within it, and even the cleanliness or disorder of an environment can subtly influence how people feel there. You may have walked into a space that felt calm and balanced, even though you could not immediately explain why. Or perhaps you have been in a room that felt chaotic and uncomfortable without any obvious reason. When you slow down and observe, these patterns become easier to recognize. A simple exercise can help strengthen this skill. The next time you enter a new environment, a cafe, an office, a park, or a public space, pause for a moment before focusing on your task. Notice the lighting, the sounds, the movement of people, and the overall mood of the place. Ask yourself a few quiet questions. Does this space feel calm or busy, open or crowded, warm or distant? There are no right or wrong answers. The purpose is simply to notice your perception. As this awareness grows, you may begin making small changes in your daily life. You might choose environments that support your focus, arrange your personal spaces more intentionally, or seek moments in nature when your mind needs clarity. In the next chapter, we will explore another powerful dimension of awareness, emotional intelligence. You will learn how emotions, both your own and those of others, play a central role in sensing presence and understanding the deeper signals within human interactions, because environments shape our awareness, but people bring those environments to life. Chapter 6: Emotional Intelligence and Presence. As we continue our journey into awareness, one of the most valuable abilities to cultivate is emotional intelligence. While environmental awareness allows us to notice the atmosphere of places, emotional intelligence helps us recognize the emotional signals within ourselves and within the people around us. Every human interaction contains an emotional dimension. Even the most ordinary conversations carry feelings beneath the surface. A person's tone, facial expressions, body posture, and timing can often communicate more than their words. When we learn to notice these subtle signals, our understanding of presence becomes deeper and more meaningful. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to recognize, interpret, and respond to emotions, both our own and those of others. It is not about labeling emotions as right or wrong. Instead, it involves observing them with openness and clarity. Many people move through conversations without noticing how emotions shift from moment to moment. Someone might say they are fine, yet their voice sounds worn out. A friend may smile while quietly dealing with stress. A coworker might appear composed even though their body language hints at tension. As your awareness grows, these signals become easier to recognize. You begin to notice when someone feels comfortable or uneasy, open or guarded, energized or exhausted. This awareness does not require guessing someone's thoughts. It simply involves paying attention to the natural cues people express through their behavior and presence. But emotional intelligence always begins with yourself. Before you can clearly recognize the emotions of others, you must become familiar with your own. Many people ignore or suppress their feelings because they view emotions as distractions. Yet emotions often carry useful information. For instance, excitement may indicate that something aligns with your interests or values. Discomfort may suggest that something deserves closer examination. When you learn to notice these signals without reacting immediately, you create room for thoughtful responses. Self-awareness forms the foundation of emotional intelligence. Consider how emotions appear within your body. Some individuals experience stress as tightness in their shoulders or chest. Others feel excitement as a sense of lightness or increased energy. These physical sensations are part of how the mind and body communicate with each other. The more familiar you become with these patterns, the easier it becomes to understand your emotional reactions. Once this internal awareness develops, you can begin noticing emotional dynamics in your interactions with others. Conversations often have subtle rhythms. Someone may lean forward when they feel interested, or pull back when they feel uncertain. Their voice might become faster when excited or softer when feeling vulnerable. These signals are always present, but they can easily go unnoticed when we are distracted or preoccupied with our own thoughts. True presence in conversation means giving your full attention to the moment, rather than planning your reply while the other person speaks. You listen to their words along with their tone, expressions, and overall presence. This kind of listening naturally deepens connection. People tend to feel more at ease around someone who is attentive and aware. When individuals sense that they are genuinely heard and understood, trust begins to develop. Emotional intelligence also allows us to handle challenging moments more skillfully. When tension arises in a conversation, awareness helps you recognize it before it grows stronger. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can pause, observe the emotional atmosphere, and respond with greater calm. This does not mean ignoring emotions. It means approaching them with understanding. As your awareness continues to grow, you may begin to notice that emotions move through interactions like currents beneath the surface. Sometimes they flow smoothly, and other times they shift rapidly. Recognizing these patterns allows you to navigate relationships with greater empathy and clarity. In the next chapter, we will move from understanding awareness to actively practicing it. You will learn simple techniques that strengthen your ability to notice presence, energy, and subtle signals in everyday life. because awareness becomes strongest not through theory alone, but through consistent practice. Chapter 7. Practical Exercises for Everyday Awareness. Awareness is not built through ideas alone, it develops through practice. Just as physical fitness improves with regular movement, mental and emotional awareness grows stronger through consistent attention. The encouraging part is that you do not need long meditation sessions or a perfectly quiet environment to begin. Awareness can be developed through small moments throughout your daily routine. In this chapter, we will explore several simple exercises designed to strengthen attention and deepen your ability to notice presence and energy. The first exercise can be called the mindful pause. A few times during your day, take a short pause, perhaps 10 to 20 seconds. Take a slow breath and observe what is happening around you. Listen to nearby sounds. Notice the lighting in the room, the movement of people, or the subtle details in your environment. Then shift your focus inward. Observe your posture, your breathing, and the emotional state of your mind at that moment. You are not trying to change anything. You are simply noticing. These small pauses act like a reset for your awareness. They bring you out of autopilot and reconnect you with the present moment. Another helpful exercise is the awareness walk. The next time you go for a walk, whether outdoors in nature, through your neighborhood, or inside a building, slow your pace slightly and pay attention to the experience of walking itself. Feel the rhythm of your steps. Notice the contact of your feet with the ground. Observe the sounds, colors, and movement around you. Most importantly, notice the atmosphere of the environment. Does the space feel peaceful, busy, heavy, or light? How does your body react to that environment? You may be surprised by how many details become visible when you walk with awareness. Instead of rushing, a third exercise involves body awareness, often referred to as a body scan. Find a quiet moment to sit or stand comfortably. If it feels natural, close your eyes. Then gently move your attention through different areas of your body. Start with your feet. Notice any sensations, their warmth, pressure, movement, or stillness. Slowly guide your awareness upward through your legs, torso, shoulders, and face. This exercise helps reconnect you with physical signals that are often overlooked during a busy day. Your body constantly communicates information about stress, comfort, and emotional states. When you learn to notice these signals, your awareness becomes more grounded and balanced. Another useful practice is noticing energy during conversations. During your next interaction, try listening with your full attention. Pay attention not only to the words being spoken, but also to the tone of voice, facial expressions, and rhythm of the conversation. You might quietly ask yourself simple questions. Does this person seem relaxed or tense, focused or distracted? How does the mood of the conversation change over time? You are not analyzing or judging the other person. You are simply becoming aware of the emotional signals naturally present in communication. Finally, one of the most powerful habits for developing awareness is reflection. At the end of the day, spend a few minutes recalling moments when your awareness felt especially clear. Perhaps you sensed the mood of a room, noticed tension in a conversation, or felt an intuitive pull toward a certain decision. Thinking about these experiences strengthens your ability to recognize them again in the future. Over time, these small exercises begin to change how you experience daily life. Instead of moving quickly through moments without noticing them, you start to feel more connected to your surroundings and the people around you. Awareness gradually becomes less of a special activity and more of a natural way of living. In the next chapter, we will explore some of the challenges people often face when developing awareness. You will learn about common misunderstandings that can create confusion and how to approach this journey with balance and clarity. Because like any skill, awareness grows stronger when we understand both its potential and its limitations. Chapter 8: A Common Challenges and Misconceptions. As awareness begins to grow, many people experience moments of clarity and discovery. They start noticing subtle emotional signals, shifts in atmosphere, and quiet intuitive impressions that once passed by unnoticed. This can feel exciting, even empowering, but like any skill, developing awareness also comes with challenges. One of the most common misconceptions is the belief that sensing presence or energy is something mystical or supernatural. When people hear the word energy, they sometimes imagine mysterious forces or special abilities that only a few individuals possess. In reality, awareness is far more practical. Much of what we sense as energy comes from emotional signals, body language, tone of voice, and environmental cues. Our minds gather these details quickly and translate them into impressions or feelings. Recognizing this process helps keep awareness grounded rather than exaggerated. Another common challenge is overinterpretation. When people first begin paying close attention to subtle signals, they may start trying to analyze every small detail. A simple pause in conversation might be interpreted as hidden conflict. A quiet moment in a room might suddenly feel like something significant. This tendency can create unnecessary anxiety. Awareness is not about turning every moment into a mystery that needs solving. Instead, it is about observing patterns over time. A single signal rarely tells the whole story, but when multiple signals appear together and repeat consistently, they begin to form a clearer picture. Patience is important here. Awareness grows stronger when we observe calmly rather than jumping to quick conclusions. Another challenge is confusing intuition with fear or imagination. Fear tends to create loud and urgent thoughts. It often pushes us toward worst-case scenarios and demands immediate action. Imagination can also create vivid possibilities that may or may not reflect reality. Intuition, however, usually feels different. It is often quieter and simpler. Instead of producing a flood of thoughts, it may appear as a gentle sense that something feels right or wrong. It does not need to prove itself with endless explanations. Learning to recognize the difference between these mental voices takes time and practice. One helpful way to do this is by observing the emotional tone behind the feeling. Fear often feels tense and overwhelming, while intuition tends to feel calm and steady even when it warns you about something important. Another misconception is that awareness should always make life easier or more comfortable. In truth, becoming more aware can sometimes bring uncomfortable insights. You may notice tensions in relationships that you previously ignored. You might become more sensitive to stressful environments or recognize habits that no longer serve you. These realizations are not problems. They are signs that your perception is becoming clearer. Awareness does not exist to protect us from reality. It exists to help us see reality more honestly, so we can respond with wisdom and intention. A final challenge many people face is impatience. In a world that encourages quick results and instant solutions, it is easy to expect awareness to develop rapidly, but awareness grows gradually, like learning a new language or strengthening a muscle. Each moment of observation adds a small layer of understanding. Over time, those layers build into a deeper sensitivity to the world around you. The key is consistency rather than perfection. You do not need to notice everything all the time. Simply returning your attention to the present moment again and again is enough to strengthen your awareness. As you continue this journey, remember that awareness is not about becoming hyper-alert or constantly analyzing every detail. It is about cultivating a calm and open attention that allows you to experience life more clearly. In the next chapter, we will explore how this growing awareness transforms one of the most important parts of our lives, our relationships with other people. Because when we truly sense the presence of others, connection becomes deeper, communication becomes clearer, and understanding begins to grow. Chapter 9, Presence in Relationships. Awareness is not only about observing the world or your own inner state. It is deeply connected to how you relate to others. When you learn to sense presence and energy, relationships begin to shift in profound ways. Conversations feel more alive, connections feel more genuine, and communication flows with greater ease. Think about a time when you were fully listened to. Someone gave you their complete attention without distraction. How did it feel? Chances are, you felt understood, respected, and safe. That is the power of presence in relationships. When you bring your full awareness into interactions, you create a space where others can feel truly seen and heard. Sensing energy in others allows you to notice emotional subtleties that words alone cannot convey. A slight change in posture, a hesitation in speech, or a fleeting facial expression can reveal feelings that might otherwise go unnoticed. By tuning into these signals, You begin to understand people on a deeper level, often before they express themselves verbally. Emotional intelligence and environmental awareness, which we explored in earlier chapters, work together here. If someone enters a room with tension or unease, you may notice it instantly. Your ability to sense their emotional state allows you to respond with empathy, rather than reacting impulsively. Even small gestures, like a smile, a gentle tone, or a pause to really listen, can create a sense of harmony and trust. Presence also improves communication. When you are aware, you speak with intention and clarity. You choose words thoughtfully, notice how they affect others, and adjust your tone and body language accordingly. Misunderstandings decrease because you are attuned not only to your own message but to how it is received. Relationships also benefit when awareness is turned inward. Recognizing your own emotional reactions in the moment allows you to respond instead of reacting. If a conversation triggers anxiety, impatience, or frustration, noticing that internal shift gives you the choice to pause, breathe, and approach the situation with clarity. Being aware in relationships does not mean controlling others or predicting every thought. It means observing, listening, and engaging fully. Presence creates a rhythm of reciprocity. When you are attuned, others often become more present as well. Over time, this practice can transform not just individual interactions, but the quality of your entire network of relationships. Friends, family, colleagues, and even brief encounters in daily life carry more meaning when observed with awareness. You start noticing patterns, moods, and energies that once went unseen, giving you the ability to respond with empathy, compassion, and understanding. The next chapter will bring everything together, showing how to integrate these practices into daily life. You will learn how to carry awareness beyond special exercises and moments of reflection, turning presence into a natural way of being that enriches every interaction, every environment, and every experience. Presence in relationships is not just a skill, it is a form of connection that transforms ordinary interactions into moments of understanding, care, and meaningful engagement. Chapter 10: Integrating Presence into Daily Life. By now, you have explored what presence is, how awareness has been understood throughout history, the science behind intuition, and practical ways to notice energy in yourself, others, and your environment. You have practiced exercises, reflected on emotional intelligence, and seen how awareness can transform relationships. Now, it is time to bring it all together, to integrate presence into daily life, so that it becomes more than a practice, but a natural way of being. Integration begins with simple routines. Awareness does not require grand gestures or long hours of meditation. Small, consistent actions create lasting change. For example, you might start each day with a brief mindful pause, noticing your breath and tuning into your body. During your commute, a short observation of your surroundings can reveal subtle details you usually miss. Even daily conversations become opportunities to practice presence, listening fully, noticing tone, and feeling the energy of interaction. Another key element is reflection. At the end of each day, spend a few moments recalling where you noticed awareness in action. Perhaps you sensed tension in a room, understood an unspoken emotion in a conversation, or simply felt fully grounded in a quiet moment. Reflecting on these moments strengthens your ability to recognize presence in future experiences. Integration also means responding intentionally rather than reacting automatically. When you feel strong emotions, frustration, excitement, or anxiety, pause and observe them without judgment. Notice how they affect your body and mind. This simple habit cultivates clarity and allows you to act from a place of awareness instead of impulse. Environmental awareness remains an important part of daily integration. Consider the spaces you inhabit: home, work, public areas, and notice how they influence your energy. Adjust your surroundings when possible. Declutter, introduce natural light, or spend time in nature to restore balance. Awareness grows when your environment supports it. Relationships provide another avenue for integration. As you move through life, practice bringing presence into every interaction. Notice how your attention and calm presence affect others. Even small gestures, a pause to truly listen, a thoughtful response, or simply being fully attentive can deepen connection and understanding. Over time, these interactions create a ripple effect, enhancing awareness in both yourself and those around you. Finally, integration requires patience and self-compassion. Awareness is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. Some days will feel effortless, others challenging. Moments of distraction or overwhelm are normal. The practice lies in returning to attention again and again, observing without judgment, and valuing the growth that occurs over time. When presence becomes a natural part of daily life, it transforms ordinary experiences. Simple tasks feel richer, conversations become more meaningful, and environments are experienced with clarity. You begin to notice what was always there: the energy in a room, the subtle currents of emotion, and the quiet voice of intuition guiding you. Presence is not something you acquire, it is something you cultivate moment by moment, breath by breath. By integrating awareness into everyday life, you awaken to a world that is fuller, more connected, and infinitely more alive. Conclusion: awakening continuous awareness. As we reach the end of this journey, it is important to pause and reflect on what has been explored, from understanding the nature of presence and energy, to examining history, philosophy, and science, to practicing awareness in daily life. Each chapter has offered tools and insights to help you awaken your senses and deepen your connection to the world around you. Awareness is not a skill that is mastered once and for all. It is an ongoing practice, a gentle attention that grows stronger the more it is exercised. Every breath, every moment of listening, every pause to notice your surroundings or emotions is an opportunity to strengthen your perception. The world you experience is not separate from your awareness, it is shaped by it. As you continue this practice, you may notice subtle shifts in how you experience life. Conversations become richer, environments feel more vivid, and intuitive impressions emerge with greater clarity. You may begin to recognize patterns in your own behavior and emotions that were previously hidden. These insights are not just tools, they are invitations to live with deeper intention, empathy, and presence. Remember that awareness is both internal and external. It begins within by observing your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations, and radiates outward, allowing you to sense the energy and presence of others and the environments you inhabit. By balancing these dimensions, you create a life that is both grounded and connected. There will be challenges along the way. Moments of distraction, doubt, or overstimulation are natural. What matters is returning your attention, moment by moment, without judgment. Awareness grows not through perfection, but through consistency and patience. Each small act of noticing adds up, creating a subtle but profound transformation in the way you engage with the world. Before closing, take a moment to reflect on one of the most important truths. Presence is always available. It is not something to chase or achieve, it is already here. In the quiet spaces between thoughts, in the pause of a breath, in the energy that moves through yourself and others. Your practice is simply learning to notice it. Carry this awareness into your daily life. Observe the energy in a room, the emotions of those around you, and the intuitive impressions within yourself. Reflect, respond intentionally, and allow presence to guide your actions and relationships. And now, I invite you to pause and ask yourself, what subtle signals have I overlooked today? How might life feel if I noticed them more fully? The journey does not end here. It continues in every moment you choose to be present. Awareness is not a destination, it is a living, unfolding experience. As you move forward, remember, you have always had the capacity to sense, to notice, and to awaken to the energy and presence that surrounds you. It is yours to explore, moment by moment, breath by breath.